and I know personally I could not operate without you. You've been so helpful to our operation, and I know countless others locally. Ag Partner is truly fitting for you because that's what you are, a partner. I feel I could call you any time of day with a question or concern, and you'd be more than happy to help me. You are a blessing to our community, and you help us all out more than you know. I am proud to be able to call you our 2020 Ag Partner. Forever grateful, Wade Hodges. Andrea Whitfield, will you please come forward? Very deserving.
Just thanks. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's been a really rough year and a rough couple of months, and I truly love what I do every day. I love this industry. I love what it stands for. I hope that somehow our great nation realizes what this industry does for America, just what we stand for, just the hard work and the caring and the work ethic that goes into what the farmers do every day and what our ag industry does every day is amazing to me, and I'm just glad to be a part of it. And it's a small part, and I love what I do. I would just like to say thank you for all the prayers the last few days. It's been really tough on our family. My husband is my rock, and I couldn't do everything I do every day without him. And just thank y'all so much for your prayers. My parents are here today, and I mean, they taught me everything I do every day as far as work ethic and just loving the community and loving farming, even though that's not what we did. We grew up around it. So I just thank y'all so much, and just keep us in your prayers. Thank you.
And I did forget to mention how she is an ag partner for our community, as she is Ag South's crop insurance agent here in town. So thank y'all.
Get the right piece of paper. Good afternoon. My name is Jason Wamba. I work for the Georgia Department of Agriculture, and not only that, I'm actually an OTC graduate. I'm also on the advisory committee for OTC with Mr. Bill, or sitting over here on the far side. Bill, if you'll raise your hand. This is actually our agribusiness counselor for Ogeechee Tech. But what I'm here to do today is we're going to do the endowment for Ogeechee Tech. This is going to go to Miss Emma Grace. She's from Glenville, Georgia, graduated from Tattnall County High School in 2020. She grew up on a Towns County farm. If you don't know where Towns County is, that's going to be Hiawassee. When she told me Towns County, I said, I need a town. I've never heard of that. She was dealing with animals and horses, and she took her love for all animals, and now is going to be a vet tech with a pursuit to become a vet. She wants to go to UGA, to the vet school up there. She aspires to open up her own practice with hopes to be able to give back to the community and offer more affordable vet care. And right now I'm going to introduce you to Miss Emma Grace Smith from Glenville.
And I'm going to ask Michelle Davis to come up and accept our second contribution to our endowment. We established this endowment last year to fund scholarships for the agribusiness program through OTC. Emma was our first recipient of that scholarship that we are funding, and we are halfway there to funding it totally, so it's self-sustainable. So we hope to have that done within the next year and a half or so, and then OTC can keep rolling and give out scholarships to those deserving students who are participating in the agribusiness program. Emma, you can come up too. I guess, do we need to go in the front of the
Go in the front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Zach, where's Zach?
Good afternoon. On behalf of the Board of Commissioners, Bulloch County, and our county manager, we want to welcome you to the Ag Complex for Bulloch County. This is a beautiful facility that we're very, very proud of, and we're glad to be able to host this event today. My name is Eddie Cannon. I am the Parks and Recreation Director for Statesboro-Bulloch County. This facility comes underneath that umbrella with the Parks and Recreation Department. We are very proud of the events that we've held in the Ag Arena in the past month. We've hosted the largest roping event east of the Mississippi. We held a dog show that featured all kind of bulldogs, and we held a great barrel racing event from participants from all over the Southeast. These are examples of events that can take place in the Ag Arena, but we're going to make a push to bring more events here to be able to show off this facility and Bulloch County. I have lived my entire life in North Georgia up until about 3 months ago. I thought I really knew the state of Georgia because I've traveled pretty much everywhere. But I did not know until I got here and spent some time here what South Georgia was all about. Every evening when I leave work, especially before time changed, I made an effort to go in a different direction so I could learn the county and learn what was here. So one evening I'm up, I guess, I'm famous for getting lost too, but I'm on 2 dirt roads back, and I am see a dust in a field. I figure there's something going on, so I pull up the side of the road, and I sit on my tailgate, and they're out there, and I think I get this terminology right. If I don't shoot me. They're turning peanuts, okay? I get the smell first, it hits me first, and so I'm sitting there, and the farmer's working in the field, and he gets to the end where I'm sitting, and he turns his tractor off, and he gets out and says, "Can I help you?" And I said, "No, I'm just watching you and being a little nosy." Kind of told him my story, that kind of thing, and he said, "Would you like to drive this thing?" I said, "Are you kidding me?" The biggest thing I've driven was a tractor and a bush hog. And so what a great experience. He took time with me, tell me what was going on, tell me all about it, and it was just a great, great experience. So I say all that to tell you that Bulloch County has a story to tell. And this venue you're sitting in today is going to be the place where we're going to work hard to tell that whole story about agriculture in Bulloch County. We're proud of our facility, we're proud of the way we run it, but we're going to be out talking to anybody that will talk to us about bringing an event here, or we're going to create some of our own events that will look at the whole entire agricultural community in Bulloch County. We want to talk about what's happening in the fields every day and the people that are doing it. The people are amazing. I can tell you story after story. There's a restaurant that opened up at It's called Cane Pole. Y'all probably know where that is, at 119 where it veers off. I was in there one evening when they first opened up, and to watch the families come in and listen to the conversations, I learned a lot about farming that evening too. So it's a great, great place. I want to introduce y'all to two people. Billy Springer and Bert Hendricks, if you'll stand up, please. These are the two guys that run the Ag Arena. If you ever need anything, or if you ever want to have a conversation and get them to go talk somewhere, please do not hesitate to call these two individuals. You have a brochure at your table that will give you the information, but call on them and call on me. I'll be more than happy to go talk to anybody about the Ag Arena. We have unbelievable support from our Board of Commissioners. I'm glad to see that a couple of them are here today. Our chairman is here. He frequently comes out here when there's events. He's very, very involved in it. And so they're ready for us to take off and take this to new places. But again, we appreciate the opportunity to be able to host this great event today. And we welcome you back at any time. And anytime you need us to go speak, please come talk to us. Thank you.
I introduced myself earlier, but once again, my name is Jason Wamba, and I work for the Georgia Department of Agriculture. And I have the honor today of introducing Representative Tom McCall. I'm going to tell you a really quick story, and it's more of a story about meeting great people and the way things tie together. The year that Michael hit, I was working the Georgia National Fair, which I work at every year, and it was just another year. There was an auction that we do every year that goes to the 4-H and FFA. And there was a rug up there. It was a cowhide rug. I saw it. I said, I got to have it. I'd heard the name Tom McCall several times in passing at work. I didn't know who he was. I just talked to a really good friend of mine about having a meeting with a man about some stuff I want to try to get done at the Capitol. He said, the man we need to talk to is here. I'm like, cool. He said, as soon as the auction's over with, we're going to go talk to him. So, all right, so I got in the back and I started bidding on this rug. The guy walks up to me and pokes me and goes, you know that's Tom McCall you're bidding against. I said, well, I'm in a penny. I'm going to go ahead and get in at a pound. And I raised my hand again. And I won the auction and went and gave him my number and everything, and found Terry England, who we were having a meeting with, who I didn't know was Tom McCall. And his wife turns around and goes, did you beat me on that rug? And I kind of hung my head down. I said, yes, ma'am. She goes, I really wanted that rug. I said, well, I'm sorry. I did too. And that was how I met Mr. Tom McCall and his wife. And tell you, Representative McCall served on the Georgia House of Representatives since 1994. He proudly carries his family history in the public service by representing Elberton, Lincoln, Wilkes, Columbia counties, and portions of Madison. He's the chairman of the Agriculture and Commerce Committee, serves on the Natural Resource and Environment Committee, Transportation, Fish, Game, and Wildlife Committees. Outside the state capitol, Representative McCall is a farmer on his Elberton family grain and livestock farm. He graduated from Elberton High, went to ABAC, and later obtained a bachelor's degree of agronomy and focused in animal science at the University of Georgia. Representative McCall and his wife, Jane, are proud parents of 3 children, Bud, Al, and Kate. Jane is a retired kindergarten teacher and is Representative McCall's chief political advisor, and I believe today we've added in chauffeur because she drives him everywhere while he's working. While he's gratified by all of his success and enjoyed in his farming and political endeavors, his greatest joy is his family. And right now I'd like to introduce Representative Tom McCall.
Thank you, Jason, and thank all of y'all for what you do for agriculture. And I don't know how to make a speech. I just want to talk to you a little bit about ag and how important it is. And, you know, it is the largest industry in the state of Georgia. And we appreciate y'all in Bulloch County making it such a focus down here in this part of the country. First thing I want to do is tell you, blue jacket young people, that your table arrangements are beautiful. You know, we didn't do that when I was in FFA. Yeah. When I was in FFA, I was there so I could get out of school at dinner time and go home and work. And there weren't no girls. So I get it, you guys, why you in FFA. But I will tell you this about the Blue Jackets. Every time I get a chance to talk to a state school board member, I tell them if they ever in a school, they'll walk by the alternative class and you'll never see a blue and gold jacket sitting in that alternative class, because they ain't got time. But thank y'all again for what you do and for keeping ag your focus, because we got to have y'all to keep eating later on. A couple folks I want to thank and tell you. First is Jane. She's driven me all over the state of Georgia in the last 6 months with this Farm Bureau stuff we've been doing. So, you know, I like Jason said, I either am on the phone or sleeping, one or the other, and Jane's driving like she did this morning. But I understand that this facility started on a napkin about 1997 and turned into what it is today, and it's fabulous. I'm the chairman of the Overview Committee at the Agri Center in Perry, and they could be jealous of this place with some of the stuff y'all got going on. Billy, especially with the team roping you were talking about, the biggest east of the Mississippi. Perry ain't never had that. So thank y'all for what you do. And I was talking to Billy. The fact that they let the public come in here and use this is just great, because the public is who's paying for this place. So I'm glad they understand what it's for. And but y'all are lucky in Bulloch County. The other thing you're lucky in Bulloch County to have is Jan Tankersley, Butch Parrish, and my buddy John Burns. You got 2 committee chairmen and the majority leader in the House of Representatives representing Bulloch County. And I'm telling you, if that ain't strong, then I don't know what is. John used to be my suite mate, and then he moved up to a higher paying job and stole my secretary that I hadn't forgiven him for yet. But anyway, John is a fantastic guy, and y'all are lucky to have him representing part of Bulloch County. And I want to talk just a minute about, I don't want to get into a bunch of politics, but I want to tell you what I see as a country boy. Half the population in this state lives in about 40 miles of the capital, and the other half lives everywhere else. And I did a thing when I was talking one time a while back to a bunch of extension agents. If you take Cobb, Fulton, DeKalb, and Gwinnett, 4 counties, there's 180 of us in the House. 78 of us represent 4 counties around Atlanta. Now, the only good thing that we can do is rural Georgia is half of them don't like the other half up there, and if we can keep them mad with each other, they won't never block vote and outvote us. So that's what we try to do as rural Georgia folks to keep Atlanta from outvoting what we want out in rural Georgia, because a lot of times those people don't think like we think. And the other good thing is you got rural Georgia people as committee chairman, and so rural Georgia's still in good shape, and I want y'all to know that, and it's going to continue to be in good shape as long as you got Jan and Butch and John representing this part of the country. We don't have to do 2 things when we go in session. We have to pass a balanced budget, thank goodness, don't we? We'd wind up like Illinois. And we have to be done in 40 days. Thank goodness, because y'all don't want us to have past 40 days. We mess with you too much. And Jason wanted me to tell you a little bit about what some of the ag stuff that we passed this year, and I'm going to run through it real quick. And then I want to talk to you about ag. The biggest thing I think we did this time was pass a hemp bill to give farmers in Georgia the ability to have one more tool in the toolbox if they want to grow hemp. And hemp down in this part of the country, I think, is going to be a pretty big deal. You got a guy over in Willacoochee named Ray Shealy who can get you any piece of equipment you want to harvest or plant or grow hemp. And there's 2 or 3 processing facilities around this part of the country. We did a bill that made it kind of illegal to go on somebody's property and steal palmetto berries. Well, I didn't know what a palmetto berry was, but it seems that palmetto berries have a enhancement ability for men, and evidently folks are stealing it, and it's a big business to go steal a palmetto berry. Now that was a fun bill to deal with on the floor. We created a commodity commission for wine and grapes, which might affect some of y'all down in this part of the country, and we also made the muscadine grape the state grape of Georgia. And the reason we did this, the largest vineyard in the world is in Irwin County, and they grow muscadines. They don't grow grapes. Grapes have to be above a certain altitude to keep a little bug called a Pearson disease from getting them, but muscadines will grow in this part of the country. One of the biggest arguments that we had was on meat labeling. You know, there's some stuff out there now that they're growing meat in petri dishes, and then Burger King has this round thing made out of hay that they call an Impossible Burger. And if you want to eat hay in the shape of a hamburger, that's fine with me, but don't call it meat. So that's one of, and the lady that is the head of the grocery stores and the head of Georgia Cattlemen's were in my office, and I was kind of scared to leave them in there, afraid they'd get in a fight and tear the place up, because one was way on one side and one was way on the other side. But when it all was said and done, they came together like we all ought to do, and came out with a good bill that says basically if it doesn't come off an animal, you can't call it meat. I think they didn't realize that maybe some of this stuff called almond milk might come under that same bill, because definition of milk is from a lactating animal, and almond trees don't lactate. So maybe we killed 2 birds with 1 stone there. We also did a livestock running at large. What we did, you know, if you got a neighbor that you don't keep his goats or his cows or something up, they stay out, law enforcement has the ability to come and round them up and impound them. But we were only paying them a minimal amount. Well, up in North Georgia, somebody had some water buffaloes that got out. Well, the sheriff up there had to round up the water buffaloes, and it cost more than $5 a day to feed a water buffalo and take care of them. So we went back and changed some of the rules that said that it was actual cost instead of a set amount for that kind of stuff with the impounding. The House passed a couple of bills, but they got held up in the Senate, and one of them was a ag building permitting fee, and it would affect, for instance, a blueberry processing facility, or maybe even a cotton gin. Some of the counties were charging permitting fees based on not just the building, which is what they should have been basing it on. They were basing it on the building and the content. So you may have a $50,000 building with $2 or $3 million worth of equipment on the inside, so they were charging you the whole thing. Well, anyway, that got hung up in the Senate to keep you from having to pay the permitting fee. But the biggest thing that got hung up in the Senate that is going to affect all of y'all that farm and all of y'all that depend on farmers to pay you back was the Right to Farm bill. We passed it out of the House fast, and we passed it out big, and then it got to the Senate, and they didn't take it up like they should have took it up. And I'm not fussing at the Senate, but they should have done a little better job. But anyway, by them not doing it as quick as we got it to them, it let some of the extreme environmentalists and the river keepers and trial lawyers get in the middle of it, and wound up the Senate gutted the whole bill. And what we're operating under today is way better than what they dealt with over in the Senate. So Right to Farm didn't pass. I know Farm Bureau was pushing it. All the ag commodity groups were pushing it, poultry, cattlemen, Agribusiness Council. So Anyway, I hope it'll come back next year and we can get it across the finish line. But the biggest thing that John and me and everybody else up there from rural Georgia do is not necessarily pass something. We stop a lot of stuff. And when there's bad bills that will mess with rural Georgia or hurt agriculture, then we can stop it. And that's a whole lot more important than trying to pass a piece of legislation that may or may not do anything. I want to talk to you a little bit about ag. I ran the boll weevil eradication program in western South Carolina, northeast Georgia, and around Athens and Madison. And back then, you know, you would hear a lot about farmers using all these chemicals and just ruining the environment with chemicals. And my answer to folks that fuss at me about that is that a spray plane running 150 miles an hour can spread 4 ounces of chemical over an acre more evenly than you can spread a teaspoonful of sugar over your cereal bowl. And then they don't have an argument to come back with that. So they don't understand what we do. And if a farmer puts out, if a label says 4 ounces, he don't put out 8 because it costs too much. So anyway, when you get to arguing about chemicals, and then they get off on GMOs. Well, a mule is about the most genetically modified animal there is, and that was the basis of agriculture back until about 1954. And then, a black baldy calf is a genetically modified animal that brings more at stock barn than any of the rest of them. GMOs only increase the quality and the use of the commodities that we grow in this state, in this county. It made the use of pesticides go down a lot. I used to spray, when I grew cotton, we would spray methylparathon every 5 days, sometimes every 3 days. And then we sprayed something called Niran that was worse than methylparathon. My eyes would be jumping when you come out of the field. And then GMO showed up. We eradicated a species of insect with the boll weevil eradication program. Now you can plant something called BT cotton that takes care of the worms. You don't have to spray much. So folks that fuss about GMOs really don't understand what they're talking about when it comes to the environment, besides the fact that it increased production. David Spade and me were talking, a lot of farmers wouldn't be in business with the price of cotton like it is now if it wasn't for the production that they're getting off an acre of cotton. And when they fuss about GMO, my answer to them, or my question really, is which third of the population are you going to decide that's going to starve to death if we do away with all GMOs? And they don't have an answer for that. So that's the importance of that part of technology. And then when you throw in all of the other technology that has changed and improved farming operations, just like what you see sitting around here, especially that sprayer over there where it reads GPS and cuts on and off where you've already sprayed and tell you where you missed and where you didn't miss. And I'm not going to get into all of that because I don't understand half of it. I will tell you this, the AGCO CEO was in my office one day last year and we were just sitting there talking. He said their new 500 horse tractor, and I didn't ask him whether it was a Massey Ferguson or a Challenger, and he didn't say, has 150 million lines of computer code in that tractor to make it run. Now that just was way over my head to even put a computer in a tractor, let alone that many lines of computer code that's going to be bouncing around in the field, in the dust, in the mud, in the rain, and sitting on the shed where rats live. But anyway, that's the way it's getting now. And I said all that, where we are today, I want to tell you a little bit about what it used to be. In 1920, 25% of all ag land was used to feed the horses and the mules. And like I said a while ago, in 1954 was the first year that there were more tractors on the farm than it was mules. And then in 1974, which is the year I graduated from high school, the big advertisement in Progressive Farmer was that they were putting power steering in pickup trucks. Now, if you ain't ever backed a four-wheel trailer with a 3 on a tree and no power steering in a pickup truck, you understand how important power steering in a pickup truck is. And I have done that. I have tried to do that. And then back then, nobody irrigated much. You know, water's a big deal now, and for the past 26 years, I've handled most of the water legislation that has come through the General Assembly. And I want to thank all of y'all that deal with irrigation, that run pivots, that do all of the irrigation work in this part of the country. And I want to thank you for the money you have spent to make irrigation more efficient. And if it hadn't been for what y'all have all done with irrigation efficiency and improving, and you don't wash your cars when you go down the highway because the end gun didn't cut off, Florida would have whipped us bad in the water wars. But because of what ag did, and because of what farmers spent, and because of what agribusiness provided for them to be able to do, along with extension and research, which is very important, just not only to the irrigation part, and it needs to be continued to be funded, then Florida would have wore us out, and we would be limiting what each and every farmer can irrigate with. And that's the kind of important stuff that ag has done for the state of Georgia that never gets recognized. And I'm gonna tell you, while we're talking about water, I'm gonna tell you a little, ain't got nothing to do with nothing, but it may or may not interest you. Georgia gets about 50 trillion gallons of water every year in rain, 50 trillion. And the total consumption, that's ag, municipal, industrial, human use, is only about 2.5 trillion. So we losing, 46, 47 trillion gallons going somewhere. Well, how we use water, I just want to give you a couple of examples. It takes a gallon of water to process a quarter-pound hamburger. So think about how many gallons McDonald's suppliers use. It takes 39,090 gallons to make a new car. In the brilliant thinking of the state of Georgia, we put the Kia plant on the smallest river basin in the state below Atlanta. So anyway, that wasn't, we could have used it on the Savannah or the Okmulgee or the Ogeechee, one or the other. But anyway, that's where it is, and it's working good. Most of you may know that there's about 4,000 gallons of water a day that's evaporated off an acre of corn that just goes up in the air, and we hope it comes back down when we need it. It takes about 5.5 gallons per bird to process a chicken. And you think about how much water these chicken plants are using to process the birds that feed us every day. And one thing I want to go a little further, an inch of rain on an acre, and everybody looks at you, you talk to folks, they look at you like, what in the heck's an acre? So I tell them an inch of rain on a football field is 27,130 gallons. And I took that a little farther. That is 112 tons of water when it rains 1 inch on a football field. So when you think about what's floating around over our heads on a cloudy day, and do the math out of how much weight is up in the clouds, that's kind of amazing to me. And then I don't know how anybody can argue that there's not a God that's handling all this. So when you do all that kind of figuring, it makes you kind of amazed at what happened when this earth was created. But agriculture is way more than just crops and livestock, and a lot of y'all know this. It's agribusiness, it's landscaping, it's forestry, hunting, fishing, green space, agritourism, and now we even got olives and citrus in Georgia. And I remember when I was at ABAC, you go home to them guys from Florida, they were worried about citrus dying up in North Florida. Matter of fact, it's all gone out of North Florida. But we're growing it in Georgia, which goes back to research and what, the University of Georgia and the Extension Service has done. But there's nothing that agriculture doesn't affect. Nothing. There's nothing that can be taught in schools that you can't use agriculture as an example to teach it. And I wrote up a little thing one time, and I'm going to run through it real fast just to give you an idea of how ag affects everything. And this is just something I made up in my head one day going down the road, and I had to write it down before I forget it. But take, for example, a couple of kids live in a high-rise in Atlanta. They tell their mamas they want an extra peanut butter and jelly sandwich for dinner that day. So mama says, okay, but she ain't got a lot of peanut butter. So she goes to the grocery store, or the mamas do, buys an extra jar of peanut butter. Then the guy at the grocery store notices that the peanut butter is getting kind of slim on the shelves. So he calls Peter Pan or Jiff or whoever he gets it from and orders some extra jars of peanut butter. Well, then Jiff and Peter Pan said, well, more folks must be eating peanut butter. So they call the broker and say, we need some more peanuts. The broker called the sheller. He said, we need some more peanuts. And then the sheller contracts with the farmer, saying, we need some more peanuts. So the farmer decides that he's going to grow some more peanuts. And this is where it gets real diverse at. When the farmer decides that, then he's got to have more equipment to grow more peanuts. So that gets in to not only grow them, but to harvest them. So when you get past that, it gets into the steel business, it gets into the rubber business, it gets into the equipment manufacturing business, and increases that. Then it takes more gas and electricity to dry them. So that's more natural gas, more electricity, more dryers, more wagons. And I'm just talking about peanuts on this one. And then it takes more machines to crush them. So that gets into the need for more mechanical technology, more building, more trucking, and more energy just to get the peanuts ready to go to this kid's peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And then you got to have more glass and plastic containers. Then you need more paper labels, which increases the need for forest products. Then you got to have more ink and more labels and more printing, and I hope they're using soy ink in the middle of all this. And then you got to have some more money, so that throws the bankers in the middle of it. And somewhere along the line, there's a lawyer going to get involved, you know, if they see a nickel. But this can go on and on and on with any commodity you want to think of. And it goes all the way from the kid in the high rise down to the guy in South America cutting a rubber tree to make a tractor tire. And it's all tied back to what each and every other of us do for a living. And all that means that there's more jobs for more people to buy more peanut butter, to make more peanut butter sandwiches, and it's a whole complete circle that is important to Bulloch County and the state of Georgia. And I'm not going to get all political on you, but I'm going to tell you this. And I probably ought not, but I am. January the 5th is a critical date coming up for not only agriculture in Georgia, but agriculture in this country. There needs to be a balance of power in Washington, checks and balances. We have reined in waters of the U.S. over the past 4 years. I used to tell people, don't go to the bathroom in the yard, because if it runs downhill, you create an ephemeral stream and the EPA will come in and regulate you. And we had gotten rid of that. We have an ag-friendly EPA who showed up a few weeks ago at Lee Cromley's farm and said that they were relisting dicamba for use on cotton. And we need to keep that kind of an EPA. Not only is it EPA, the EPA director came to Lee Cromley's farm and rode a cotton picker. So, you know, everybody does not need to stay home on the 5th. I know a lot of you, including me, are frustrated with some of the stuff that's going on in the last week, especially since the election. But don't get frustrated. January the 5th is an important date to remember to go vote. If we're the only state in the country, the only state I've ever heard of that had 2 Senate races at the same time. And it's very important. I'm going to leave you with this. There's 5 things, and John, you've heard me say this. There's 5 things it takes to survive, and it's only 5. Only 5 things it takes to survive. It's food, clothing, shelter, air, and water. 3 of them come from agriculture, and God gives you the other 2. So when somebody says agriculture is not important, ask them what they are surviving on. Thank y'all very much for what you do. Thank you for letting me come visit with you, and I look forward to seeing you at another time.
Mr. Tom, if you don't mind, we've got a gift for you. We can go ahead and give that to you.
We've got a gift of some of our locally grown and sourced products from Bulloch County. So thank you for coming down and speaking with us today.
Thank y'all very much. I hope it was good enough to deserve it.
It was perfect.
But thank you.
And we've got a few other things as well. We want to make sure, speaking of citrus, we've got that. Well, everybody, thank you for coming. We've really enjoyed getting to prepare for this event. We didn't know what this year would entail when you look back a year ago. Charlie has led us through the Chamber Ag Committee, the Agribusiness Committee as the chair of it this year, and we appreciate everything that she has done. Typically, we have about 3 to 4 events every year, and this is number 2, and it's at the end of the year. So thank y'all for the turnout that you had today. This committee wouldn't be what it is without agriculture and what farmers we have in Bulloch County. I know from a personal standpoint, if there wasn't ag in Bulloch County, me and my wife wouldn't be here right now. Both our jobs are 100% dependent on ag, and we moved here about 5 years ago. And everything that we do and everything that we have in our lives has been something that God has gave us or devoted to ag, and we are very glad to have that. In 2021, I'll be serving as the chair for the Ag Committee, and I also will be working alongside with Sarah Brinson. Sarah, if you don't mind standing up. We're going to have her helping us out and getting things going. We're hoping that we'll get back to some kind of normalcy next year. Our goal at this point will be to go through and host some of our typical events like Blessing of the Crops. That's something that is really a strong sense of pride to be in an event like that. And when that event happens, we'd love to have all of y'all there and be able to walk through it. I did want to walk through some of our sponsors that we have. Behind us you see signs, and all the small signs that are up against the fence. All these are people that have contributed to our Ag Committee to help us host events like this. Our job is to be good stewards of it, and I feel like we have. We wish we could add more events, but we'll take what we can get. Other people that I would like to give a special thanks to, Mr. Billy Springer, thank you, and Mr. Burt Hendricks. We thank y'all for getting things going and getting the arena set up. This has been really nice to be able to use this facility. Mr. Eddie and Miss Bronny, thank y'all for everything y'all do and for everything with Parks and Recreation Department. This is a nice facility, and we look forward to partnering y'all with many other activities, and I hope that we can support y'all as best we can with that going forward. We have a couple people helped donated some drinks today. We've got Josh McCook of McCook's Pharmacy and Whitney Murphy of Corteva Agri-Sciences for sponsoring drinks. We appreciate that. Dolan's Catering, thank y'all for the food that y'all provided, and we appreciate those resources with that. Southeast Bulloch, FFA, we are very thankful for y'all and what y'all did as far as the centerpieces go. You always do a great job, and we're very thankful for the hard work that y'all put into that. It sounded like y'all had a good bit of students helping out with it, so we appreciate that effort on that. All right, outside of that, we had some donations for Mr. Tom's gift. Just wanted to walk through those real quick. Ellis Meats, B&G Honey, Mr. Bill Akers, Mr. Joe Franklin, Braswell's, and then we wanted to give another thanks to Brand Local Communications. They have gone through and done some videos over the last couple of years for a lot of our different events. If you hadn't seen some of the videos, it's really neat to see and how we support Bulloch County agriculture, whether that's the agribusinesses or our farmers and what they do every day. But we're very thankful that everybody was able to attend today. If we can ever help y'all out with anything from the agribusiness standpoint and also the chamber, please let us know. We have Skip, where are you at? Sorry, I couldn't see you. Skip is the president of the chamber, and he started this year, and we're very thankful to have him here. We would look forward to working with him and helping support agriculture. If y'all ever have a chance to introduce yourself to Skip, we're glad to have him and look forward to working with him throughout the years with the Agribusiness Committee. But thank y'all very much for coming. I hope y'all have a good rest of the week.